A wild week 12 around the NFL, overtime thrillers, teams playing for their playoff lives, and we've got another coach fired and a whole lot more to get to on this Monday edition of the NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff. Just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen of the day on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks for helping make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We're going to get into a ton of NFL action from this week 12 Sunday. Today's episode of NFL Six Pack brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And right away, we've got a coach firing, and for 2 bad football teams, I think it was in our 6-pack of picks on Friday's show, Matt, for a reason, and it was the Browns victorious. Shador Sanders, the first Browns quarterback to win his first start since 1999, which I believe was Tim Couch, right? Did Tim Couch come out of the gate and win his first game?
I think he's the first ever.
Yeah. That was expansion Browns too in 99, right?
Yes, they came in the league in 99.
The new old Browns.
New old Browns, right. This version came in 99, yes.
It's hard to believe that even he won his first game with what was going on there. And
they were horrible.
Basically an expansion football team. But Shador Sanders, congratulations, 24-10 win for those Cleveland Browns over the Raiders. And the Raiders are just a mess, and it continues to get worse because you're not even competitive against the bad football teams in the NFL, and you're making careers over here, and you're ending careers as far as NFL teams go. Let's start with the Raiders because Chip Kelly has now been fired. He is out as offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I wasn't high on this hire. I charted routes for the 2016 San Francisco 49ers when I was working at PFF. And I literally, Matt, I think we've talked about this before. I asked them to not put me on the 49ers games anymore because I was so tired of watching what that offense looked like.
I've had enough.
So I'm the last guy who was surprised that Chip Kelly wasn't a good NFL offensive coordinator. He's a college guy, and he should never sniff an NFL sideline for the rest of his career. They cannot block anybody. The offense is bad. Their quarterback, who is a veteran, who knows better, and Geno Smith is clearly frustrated, and he is giving the one-finger salute to his own home fans on the way off the football field. This is all bad, and I don't think Chip Kelly is the last guy to get fired for the Raiders this season.
I agree with everything you said there, and I placed one bet this weekend, and that was Browns +3. I was like, their defense is clearly the best unit on the field, and I think even before yesterday, the Raiders were the worst team in the league. I mean, if they play the Titans right now, I am picking the Titans, and I think that's true with every team out there. At least some of these other teams are showing some positive things, the Saints, the Titans, etc. Miami's kind of turned things around, some of these bottom feeders lately. And it looks worse every time I watch the Raiders. And a lot of it's O-line driven. A lot of it's offense driven. The defense actually kind of overachieved for a bit. I mean, early in the season, at least they play hard, led by Crosby. And I'm with you on Kelly. Like, I was shocked when they made him the highest paid coordinator in NFL history. It's like, you really don't have any success at the NFL level. It's a good idea. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but boy, what's he shown to make him that desirable? And I'm with you. I mean, I think they all probably should get fired. Will they or not? Who's to say? But in terms of teams I would least want to be the GM of, this might be my pick.
It's tough because the Pete Carroll thing, this is going to be a long-term deal. And that's not a Chip Carroll or Chip Carroll. It's not a Pete Carroll plan. because how long can you plan for him to be around to rebuild this thing, right? The Pete Carroll idea is like, we're going to go get a veteran quarterback and we're going to have a real head coach, and this is going to be a good team right away, and we're going to be a lot better and compete right now. That's not the plan, cannot be the plan going forward. So that means your plan going forward can't be not only Chip Kelly, but can't be Pete Carroll either.
Right. I kind of thought it was, let's get Pete to get us to 8-9 wins for a year or two, actually have some culture here, drive up interest in the city that isn't really home to us. We're new, the Raiders are relevant, and Gentie's offensive rookie of the year, and Gino's a good player. And then we'll try to take it to the next level with the next coach, like build an infrastructure. Couldn't be further from what happened.
Yeah. So obviously just a really ugly situation. Ashton Genty did get 100 yards from scrimmage and get in the end zone here as a receiver in this game, but pretty much all bad there for the Las Vegas Raiders. Not much to say at 2-9, might be the worst team in the league, and showed less fight than the Tennessee Titans, who are the only team in the league with the worst record than them. And then you go to the other side, and again, congratulations to Shador Sanders for winning the game. He didn't light the world on fire, didn't have to. 11 of 20 passing, 9 yards, a touchdown, an interception. Had his highlight throw, which is like the highlight of the season for the Browns on offense, rolling right, really nice throw, long touchdown, or not just short of a touchdown pass to Isaiah Bond, a 52-yarder there that they ended up putting in the end zone, and then a touchdown pass to Dylan Sampson, who has ridiculous speed and did most of the yardage work on his 60-yard touchdown. But Shador did enough to allow the offense to win a game where their defense was absolutely dominating the Las Vegas Raiders. 10 sacks in this game for the Browns. I mean, it came from everywhere. 3 from Myles Garrett, 2.5 from Malik Collins. Isaiah McGuire was playing really well on the other side, opposite of Myles Garrett. You had a half a sack from Jerome Baker, a half a sack from Shelby Harris, a half a sack from Mike Hall Jr. You had a sack from Devin Bush. So you had, guys come from different levels, and you just couldn't block anybody if you are the Raiders here. But man, Myles Garrett, ridiculous. He would be second in the NFL to only himself just in the last 4 games. He's got 13 sacks in 4 games, 18 on the season.
He's going to set the record. He's playing at an unbelievable level. I'm going to start on the offense, though, for Cleveland real quick. It's a baby step, but this is a nice step in the right direction for Shador. Good. He gave him a whole week to practice. He was clearly better than just thrown to the wolves last week when he completed like 1 out of 5 passes, and you kind of knew he would be. And I thought their skill position players, again, low bar here, but showed some promise. Sampson and their younger guys, Judkins and Fannin and Tillman and these dudes and Bond. I mean, maybe they have something there if you throw a number 1 receiver in the mix.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. Again, level competition's bad. But it's rare, BP, to watch a game in the NFL and be like, this looks like Alabama's defensive front against Alabama State. I mean, that's really what it looked like to me in terms of the D-line for the Browns, which is great. But they can't pick up stunts. They can't they can't block anyone one-on-one.
No.
I mean, and it wasn't just Garrett being a superhuman. Like you said, it's everybody.
Take Garrett off the field. He doesn't play in this game. The Cleveland Browns dominate the Raiders. Dominate them up front, dominate them in the game. And then add Garrett on top of it. And
maybe they'd had 4 sacks, but
right. Well, they had 7 anyway. So
right.
And maybe he helped out on a couple others, and you would get different blocking up front. But man, it's bad for the Raiders, and the Browns defense is legitimately good, but getting wasted in this season. And who knows? Maybe maybe. And again, there's you can't proclaim anything on the way Sanders has played yet.
But he should remain the starter. That's the right choice. And see what happens.
The biggest thing is he's going to play the rest of the year, and then you reevaluate. Did they find their franchise quarterback? I think we're a long way away from that.
Or did they at least buy a year where they just build everything else on offense and figure it out from there? They got all the picks.
Yep. Coming up next in the 6-pack, Rams continue hot. Look like the best team in the NFL. Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys. Really important wins for those teams. Their backs against the wall. We've got a rough quarterback situation going on, and some decisions to be made in Minnesota in our NFL 6-pack. And we'll try to get a note on every game from NFL Sunday next. This episode of NFL Six Pack brought to you by Prize Picks. And when it comes to Prize Picks and when it comes to having fun watching sports in the holiday season, it's one of the best times of the year for sports. Bowl games, big NFL games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call and make a little on it is Prize Picks. Prize Picks has added an extra layer of excitement for the holiday schedule. So you got to check out the app and even get an early payout with the feature. That's a great bonus. When your lineup starts strong, you may get the option to cash out early. And the new stacks, you can choose one player up to 3 times in the same lineup for a combination of rushing yards, passing yards, touchdowns, and more. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I got some overtime thrillers on the Sunday schedule, and I want to go to the Detroit Lions because I think they are a very good football team, but the New York Giants had a lead on the Lions, and the Lions were about to mess around and put themselves way on the outside looking in as far as the NFC playoff picture goes right now, because there's a lot of good teams vying for playoff spots in the NFC, and we'll talk about some of their counterparts, especially in their own division. But the Lions couldn't show up 6-5 going into week 13 and be behind everybody. That would have been a bad situation. And they were nearly there. Some late heroics. Lions were able to push this thing into overtime, and then a big Jahmyr Gibbs run in overtime, and the Lions victorious 34-27 in OT against the New York Giants. I have one note on the New York Giants really quick, and it was the best reception by a quarterback ever.
That was pretty awesome.
Winston to not only make a catch, but make a play after the catch, looking like an athlete out there. It's a lot more fun to watch the Giants with Jameis Winston, and possibly part of that is because Mike Kafka's just he has nothing to lose out there as the new coach, and so that kind of makes the Giants a little bit more fun the rest of the stretch, at least to try to play spoiler, but probably good for them that they do lose games like this still while they're entertaining. They fall to 2-10. The Lions, though, keep their hopes alive with a 7-4 start to their season now, but showing some warts, but also in the end, they're still a good team. So I can't figure out the Lions because they're not a team that should have been at one point in this game. It's like, man, this team's not going to make the playoffs if they lose today.
Yeah, and in some ways, the Giants, the Jets, the Titans, the Saints, unlike the Raiders, are losing games and you're happy about it. And the way they're doing it is respectable. You know, like this could, competitive. This could be a good job. A lot of them are playing against good teams, playoff caliber teams, taking them down the wire despite being less talented. And Kafka is interesting to me. There wasn't a lot of defense in this game from either side, but I did hear some, I don't have the numbers, but I heard some really striking contrasts for Giants run defense was actually phenomenal in this game when Dexter Lawrence was on the field. When he wasn't, they let up like 230 yards of rush, almost all to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Take him off the field when Jahmyr Gibbs came into the game.
Right. 15 I mean, that's the story to me. Like, if you have Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy and you lost this week, something's wrong, dude. You should give up fantasy, you know.
219 yards on only 15 carries and 2 touchdowns, and
the receptions
dynamic. He is that's just running the ball. I mean, he is fast.
They caught 11 passes on 12 targets. I mean, it's funny. I was asked this just last week before this game. Is Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back in the league? I'm like, I'm not quite there, but I think he's the best person with the ball in his hands in the league.
If you have one play. Give me
one
Jahmyr
play,
Gibbs.
maybe.
You know, if I need to hand somebody the ball 30 times, maybe you choose somebody else. But if you just need one play, I'll take Jahmyr.
I'm taking him. Yeah. Or let alone get him in space on like a little flare pass or whatever. But I might take Taylor or Bijan if I could give it to him 30 times. But Gibbs is a remarkable talent. And I give Dan Campbell a lot of credit. Since taking over the play calling duties, he gets the ball to Gibbs. You know, like, we're going to get our best players are going to get the football.
Yeah, I love that. Well, absolutely. So it feels too early in week 12 to say it, but I think it was a must-win game for the Lions because you got to beat teams
Pretty
like
close.
the Giants, NFC opponent. You got to get tiebreakers too when you start looking at this thing down the stretch with how tight their division is going to be. So big win for the Lions. They were able to pull that one out in overtime. And it's a very similar story in the AFC for the Kansas City Chiefs, who needed every second of that game. They needed overtime to defeat the Colts 23-20, and they were down 20-9 at one point in this game, and they were able to come back and win in a game where I think you could have said the Chiefs aren't going to be in the tournament if they don't win this football game against the Colts.
Yeah, I don't get one note back to that Giants game. You're right. It's a huge win for the Lions, especially with the Bears and Packers winning, like just the math of it all.
Yeah.
But it's a great loss for the Giants.
Right. Yeah.
Correct.
Stay where you are. You need to be there. And for teams like the Titans and the Giants, who could be 1 and 2 in the NFL draft, they already have their young quarterbacks. And so, will that create a really fun draft season with potentially teams moving around? You get like that Goff Wentz year where both teams trade 1 and 2 to draft quarterbacks or something like that.
So to the Chiefs, I didn't pay attention to it, but I'm sure the next gen win percentage chart was massively in favor of Indianapolis for a large portion of this game. Like, sure felt like they kind of had them where they wanted. They're controlling the football game. Then I thought Indy kind of clammed up a little bit and then just started playing like not to lose. Like, let's just keep this close to the vest, and forgot who that quarterback might be on the other sidelines, who's desperate. And this reminded me of Mahomes postseason so many times where we saw him, where Thanos, the inevitable, is just not going to lose this game.
That's what it felt like. Yeah. 11 fourth quarter points just to get it to overtime and then winning it on the kick in overtime. And it was one of those where, because remember, I've been talking a lot about, man, where are the Colts signature wins at? And it's like Chiefs and Seahawks and all these teams coming up on their schedule. And then they go up big, and it's like, okay, the Chiefs are they're going to prove it, right? And is it like, or the Colts are going to prove it? They're up 20-9 against the Chiefs. They're going to put the Chiefs away, and then all of a sudden, it slips away from them. It's like, come on, Colts, let's see one of those signature wins. And obviously, the Chiefs more than anybody. Like I would be saying right now, all right, well, maybe next year for the Chiefs, they are not going to be in the playoffs. That's how big this win was. Probably the biggest win of Week 12 was the Chiefs winning in overtime against the Colts.
So I'm not sure what I even have to add to that. Just to throw a little spin on it, like the Steelers losing. Everyone's asking me if I do tons of Steelers stuff today, and it's like, man, everything else in the AFC, but especially the Colts or the Chiefs, all of a sudden make teams like the Steelers in real trouble. Teams you could have been like, I don't know if they're going to get in or not. Now it's like, oh no, I mean these guys are going to grab that playoff spot and look out. It's just funny how the league changes so fast in a day.
Yeah, and a pretty big one for playoff percentages with the 49ers and the Panthers on Monday Night Football. So tomorrow we'll talk about the Monday Nighter. We got to talk a lot about the Brandon Ayuk saga that's going on with the 49ers, which is just strange. And then, of course, we'll have a lot more knowledge of where we're at with the playoffs, because there were some big swings and some important games, I think, this week, especially on the NFC side. And we'll know about more of that playoff picture on the Tuesday episode this week as we head toward the Thanksgiving football schedule. How about this one real quick with the team with their back against the wall, and the Dallas Cowboys just would be mathematically kind of out if they weren't able to win some of these games. But they look like a different football team right now than they did at the beginning of the year. George Pickens, even with Lamb back in the lineup, still doing big things. Dak Prescott, 354 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Cowboys, it wasn't overtime, but another thriller here, 10 fourth quarter points to come back, beat the division rival Philadelphia Eagles. And the Cowboys, while still mathematically, they're not in a great place, at 5-5-1, they are still alive in the NFC.
Yeah, I think they host the Chiefs on Thanksgiving too. Just come to think of it, in short week. They're good. I would have them a lot higher in power rankings than I have Dallas in terms of playoff chances or record or season-long stats. I think Quentin Williams is a massive addition to this team. Now they have this 3-man defensive tackle rotation that's really, really good. And some of the rest of the defense was not terrible. And frankly, the second half I thought really belonged to Dallas's defense, and raises some question about Philly. Don't get me wrong, but that's another team that looked like they had this thing by the throat, and then Dallas just keeps coming. And Pickens is remarkable. I mean, he does this every week now. He's going to make a lot of money. Again, I don't mean to spin everything back to the Steelers, but he basically has the exact same amount of receiving yards as every Steeler wide receiver combined. I've had to deal with that one a lot today.
That's the Myles Garrett 49ers thing with pass rush. It's the same deal. It's like he out pass rushes the entire football team.
Except he didn't play for the 49ers last year.
Well, right, yeah.
They didn't trade him. Right? It'd be like if Micah Parsons had If
we want to get deep in the weeds, I do blame the Steelers for their win over the Browns in week 17 of the 2016 season, because the 49ers should have Myles Garrett. Do you remember the game? Mason Rudolph, I think, was the quarterback of that team.
Okay.
Too. And the Browns fumbled the ball like through the end zone twice. And it was like this awful last week of the season game. Isaiah Crowell maybe was the running back at the time.
That makes sense. Yeah.
He literally fumbled the ball out of the end zone from the 1 yard line and a touchback. And I think the game ends up going into overtime. Browns win that game, and they completely gave it away. Browns win that game. The 49ers start the Shanahan-Lynch era with Myles Garrett instead of Coleman Thomas. So,
wow.
Yeah. Next, let's talk a couple more points from our biggest takeaways here in the NFL six-pack and some notes on the other games. We got to talk about Steelers-Bears, which was a big one. Rams just ramming there. That's what they are. They had the song in the 80s, Just Ram It, and that's what they're doing right now in 2025. And the Vikings have a problem right now at quarterback. Next. Today's episode of the NFL Six Pack brought to you by Game Time and the Game Time app. And if you don't have the Game Time app, stop right now and go download it, because there is nothing that gives the advantage back to the fans like the Game Time app, whether it's buying tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, whatever it is to get tickets. You can find some phenomenal deals, especially last minute deals on the Game Time app. And you'll always get 100% authentic tickets backed by the Game Time guarantee. Game Time is fast. It's easy. It's delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included on the app. So the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. And we know how that can be frustrating. I hate the hidden fees when you're buying tickets. The hassle of queues, login screens, the prices jumping at checkout. Super frustrating to buy tickets. You don't get that with Game Time, and some zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. I don't know how big the takeaway is here from the Rams, but they're the best team in the NFL, and they thoroughly ran away from the Buccaneers in prime time on Sunday Night Football. And I think the biggest thing for me is watching, like, now that we've gotten to this point of the season, you have a healthy Puka Nacua, but then you also get to see an MVP caliber, one of the better quarterbacks of this era of NFL football in Matthew Stafford, thrown to one of the best wide receivers of this era of football in Devontae Adams. And then you're seeing how that is, because rarely on an NFL field these days, it feels like everything's very difficult and congested on NFL fields, and coordinators are really just trying to find the right way to get a guy in space and get it open over here in the middle of the field, tough throws. The Rams drop back and Stafford says, there's a good player. He's open. I'm throwing it. Touchdown. It's like, oh my God.
Over and over.
It's like, Rams are scary right now. They're playing at a super high level, and the Bucs, look out for the Panthers if the Panthers win on Monday night, because those teams might be, you got to win the division or you are out.
Yeah, 1,000%. I couldn't be more impressed with where the Rams are at here late November, Thanksgiving week. Stafford is, I don't say running away, but putting a stronghold on the MVP. Never throws picks. I mean, I don't think he's thrown a pick since like week 2. And he makes tough throws. I mean, he's not dumping it down. He's driving the ball over the middle of the field, letting his players make plays. They run the ball well. The defense was suffocating. That front is really, really good. The team plays with a ton of enthusiasm. And part of me just kind of feels bad about the Bucs. Like, man, they've battled, but they've had so many injuries going back to the preseason. I mean, Bucky Irvin and Godwin and Evans and Wirfs didn't start the season. Like, then Baker gets hurt in this game. And it's like, boy, this was over like 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, the Bucs are in a tough spot, and so that's going to be on the wire, I think, in the NFC South potentially if the Panthers can keep winning football games. Last one here in the six pack, and we do have some other notes around the NFL. The Vikings have a problem. JJ McCarthy is playing some of the worst football in the NFL right now, and it's not just young quarterback, things are sped up. He's missing it when he sees it, and guys are open. It's all bad. The best thing I could think of is, okay, well, this is what we were saying about Josh Allen, in year 1 and 2 of his career. And he didn't even have like the injury that lost him an entire rookie season of development. I mean, that's like but that was like a once in a generation development.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was able to do. McCarthy doesn't have quite the level of talent that Josh Allen has either. What do you do if you're the Vikings? Do you have to make a change at quarterback? And going into the offseason, do you have to make sure you have some big-time competition that is a competent quarterback, because you still don't know what you have in J.J. McCarthy, and if he plays like this, you can kiss the season goodbye.
So it was reported that he had concussion-like syndrome or symptoms on the plane ride home is when it was noticed first. And I'm not going to question that. I'm not laughing at concussions, but I have made the
timing. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, right. I did make the joke that maybe Justin Jefferson hit him over the head with something on the plane because he just can't handle it anymore or whatever. But I think that getting him off the field, no matter how you're going to do it, is probably wise because he is destroying the team unlike any quarterback in the league. I mean, no team is it so clear what is wrong than this one right now. And don't quote me on this because I saw it, but I didn't jot it down. But he has, like, of the last 800 quarterbacks to play NFL football, his career start per EPA is only better than Jamarcus Russell's. Like, he's like 799th of the list. Like, oh my.
Yeah. Including all those Browns quarterbacks since 1999 that couldn't win their first starts, right?
Right. I mean, there's a million of them. Zach Wilson. I mean, like,
a great place to be, man. It is Zach Wilson-esque.
Yeah,
with what we're seeing right now with McCarthy. Can he get out of it? And one of the better places. That's why I felt great about JJ McCarthy in his landing spot, because that's where you want to go if you're a quarterback.
Right.
Even O'Connell's record is nearly spotless. Spotless
if
it continues this way.
To your other question, though, I think Hugh will be back next year. This season's shot. And if he doesn't play, they set him down, whatever. It doesn't even matter to me that much. I think he competes with Mac Jones next year or Kyler Murray,
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mac Jones is not going to be a Steeler. He's going to be a Minnesota Viking now. Brandon Ayuk might be a Steeler, though, after all. We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's episode. Bringing up those Steelers, this was a really big game, and the Bears were victorious over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if those of you who are not on Twitter might not realize, Matt Williamson over here going viral just from pointing out something very obvious about the quarterback situation. Do you want to explain what's going on with the Steelers right now with Mason Rudolph at quarterback? It was a 31-28 win for those Bears, who are now 8-3 at the top of the NFC North. Everyone below them won, though, so far, except for the Vikings. But we're not counting the Vikings as a team that's competing with the Bears right now for a playoff spot. And don't look now, but the Steelers are 6-5 and leaving the door open.
Yeah, and the Steelers are in a really rough spot right now. I mean, I used to look at it like, oh, no, they have a lead in the division and they got to play the Ravens twice. Now I look at it and be like, thank God they're playing the Ravens twice, because I got a chance to maybe win those games and save their season, because it's spiraling pretty quickly. But they're not horrible. Like, everyone around here just thinks the sky is falling, fire everybody. It's horrific. I mean, they were really efficient running the ball. They shut down a great running attack for Chicago, but they have no explosives in the passing game at all. I mean, their explosive play differential is so bad, and it's really been the story of the season on both sides of the ball. Is the defense lets up explosives, Steelers don't create explosives. And yeah, I put out a tweet just showing where every team attacks the Steelers, which is in the middle of the field in the passing game, and the Steelers do not throw the football in that area of the field. And they haven't really for 5 years, no matter who the coach, coordinator, or I know the coach is, but the coordinator or quarterback is. And it's a tough way to live, man.
Very tough way to live. And not only not much in the middle of the field, but not much anywhere beyond 10 yards.
No, and Rudolph they threw a couple deep balls down the sidelines that weren't really close. Mm-hmm. They were just bad throws. And he wasn't horrific, but he was far from good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bears,
Chicago's pretty impressive.
In a great spot, keeps winning. They kind of strong across the board and have found different ways to win just about every week. And so we might have to start considering that the Bears have turned the corner and are a pretty good football team.
Yeah, I'm coming around on them, especially the offense.
If you have any notes, jump in. I just want to run through a couple of these. Bears defeat the Patriots defeat the Bengals 26-20. We've got a first 10-win team in the NFL in those New England Patriots. Seahawks did get by the Titans, although it was closer than a lot of people might have expected. 30-24 win there for Seattle. You've got the Jets who fall to the Ravens 23-10. Now Ravens and Steelers with the same record at 6-5 in the AFC North. Jaguars did just get by the Cardinals. I think I do have a takeaway there, which is I don't really know how to put it except for that Trevor Lawrence is exactly the same Trevor Lawrence. And
all the time.
We're never going to see that guy.
I know. And that's good enough to beat the Cardinals, and it's not good enough to probably win a playoff game. You know, right? Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence being the most Trevor Lawrence he could possibly be there. The Falcons get off the schneid here with a 24-10 win over the New Orleans Saints. And those were all the scores from NFL Sunday.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of takeaways on those games. I think a lot of them are self-explanatory. Teams like the Jets played a little, and Titans played better than maybe you would think. Ward played well. A much-needed win for the Packers. Patriots business trip to Cincinnati worked out good. You know, Lamar does not look healthy to me, and we'll probably talk about that one coming up because they play against Burrow on Thursday night, so which could be kind of interesting. But
short week,
yeah.
Monday nighter, 49ers and the Panthers, big-time NFC playoff implications there. We're going to talk about the Ayuk saga with the 49ers, playoff picture following Week 12, and really get into where these teams are. And, of course, your questions before those Thanksgiving games on the Wednesday episode is going to be the mailbag this week. No show on Thursday. So get those questions in at Peacock at Williamson NFL in the YouTube's comments. Subscribe while you're there. And thanks again, everybody, for making us your first listen of the day on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network.